Top right-hand corner in Till Green, 11 constituencies reported 100% support for Gachagua ouster. This story is on page 6. I would very much like to see how they determined these numbers and how it is that they counted. And yes, I would like to understand how this data was arrived at. Public humiliation. Big win as judges rejected by Uhuru in 2019 awarded 126 million for rights violation. This is a judgment that was concluded by a justice of the High Court, Justice Chacha Mwita. Mm-hmm. Early marriage. Mm-hmm. How an award injected energy into Abdallah's passionate activism. Abdallah here is Naila Abdallah. Okay? The girl was married at a very young age. When she finished Form 4, early marriage. She left that marriage and decided that she was going to do something else. And she founded Six Sisters for Justice. This is a story that we can read about in detail on page 10. Then bang in the middle of the paper, history. It is true, it is history. 281 lawmakers vote to kick out DP in a first under the 2010 Constitution. And the Star asks the question, end of the road, question mark. And they say if Gachagua is impeached, he will cease to hold office, marking a pivotal moment in the Ruto administration. Indeed it does, but it reminds me of a time when the common denominator in these shaking matters where the deputy and the president seem to be at odds and how it escalates is when there was the injection of an individual into the party. When there was a handshake between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, then Chinua Achebe came into the play. Things fell apart.
Oh, sorry, yes, okay.
Raila comes in with a handshake with Ruto now, and voila, only again.
Broad-based government.
Things fall apart.
Yes, Chinua Achebe is with us yet again. And things are definitely not only are they falling apart, the center has refused to hold.
To hold.
Yes.
Even when Raila went to Kasarani and shook hands with Moi, ask the late J.J. Kamodo what happened.
The center did not hold. Things sambaratikwad.
The sambaratikwad.
Yes.
But indeed, someone was asking, I don't know who, it was a clip going around, especially after you remember the IEBC Act and the broad-based government. Someone said, but who is this guy, Raila Odinga? Who is this guy? That any other government that comes in power, he has a place somehow, somewhat. That question still lingers. I mean, who is this guy that when he comes into the picture, remember the deputy president now facing all this had mentioned earlier on, akasema nimeweka mitego. Lakini kuna mtu ukiingiza hapa atasambaratisha maneno, ataleta kashida kidogo. So pretty much the question is, who is this guy, Raila Odinga?
Clearly there was a mtego.
But
it didn't. Did it catch the intended?
Mtego apanya huwa nasa waliokuwemo na wasiokuwemo. Quickly, let me tell you about the business daily and then we look at traffic. Kenya makes fresh bid to end power sales in dollars. Kenya is making another bid to stop billing for wholesale power in US dollars and euros in an effort to lower electricity prices for homes and ease Kenya Power's foreign exchange losses. So there's new negotiations with IPPs, and in those new negotiations, the government and APRA are saying, okay, let us see, you cannot be billing us in dollars because we are now transferring that to the customers, and the customers are complaining. CBK cuts main lending rate by biggest margin since COVID-19. So the CBK Monetary Policy Committee met yesterday and they cut the key lending rate by 0.75% or 75 basis points from 12.75% to 12% after inflation dropped to its lowest level in over a decade. The cut is expected to trigger a fall in the cost of loans for households and firms who have struggled to service costly credit since the CBK started raising rates in June amid global economic shocks that saw inflation rise to multi-year highs. Okay, some good news there. Geothermal power supply on grid dips and hydropower surges. SHA reverts to manual claims on system glitch. The Social Health Authority has resorted to manually filled out claims by healthcare providers after its digital claims management system suffered a series of setbacks. and let me just add the word minor setbacks. Okay? Yeah. So let's take a look at traffic. All right. It's 24 minutes to 7. Let's see what's happening on the roads, and then we'll look at some of these stories in greater detail.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's still okay, imagine. So Mombasa Road is okay. Langata Road and Ngong Road are fine. Jogoo Road is actually looking all right. Even Landis Road this morning is not as busy as it normally is around this time. Thika Superhighway is just slightly busy at the Muthaiga interchange. That's just near the Muthaiga police station. Kiambu Road is clear. Limuru Road is clear. Outer Ring Road is okay. North Airport Road is fine. Even the bypasses are looking good.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so let's talk about this impeachment, right? We saw it unfolding in Parliament yesterday. MPs spent time, and by 9 p.m. they were all there to cast their vote, right? And we saw the outcome of it. But what did you make of the proceedings, Ankiloris? Were the MPs looking at the merits and demerits of the special motion presented by the MP for Kibwezi, or were they looking at how they have individually interacted with the Deputy President?
Really, from my own observation, I'll start by saying, as a young girl and even growing into now the woman that I am, there's one thing that I always had people say, leave politics to politicians. It can be quite interesting, sometimes very confusing. But me following that particular, hearing, I mean, I heard a lot of members of parliament just sharing how they interacted with the Deputy President. I was this member of parliament who said he has absolutely no regard and respect for the women. Depending on how he's been speaking on different podiums. So some were, of course, personal experiences, interactions with him. Others were just what they have seen him do, what they've heard him say, and they were not very, didn't sit very well with them. A number of those, of course, grounds of impeachment, 11 or so. I think I'm still waiting then, because even the Deputy President came up with his own videos to support his response. But how objective we are, why he's really the one, at the center of this is still something I am trying to, be okay with. I'm trying to have the right words here. But then Kufa Makanga has been going round, and someone even said Kufa mechanic, and many others. There's this lady called Caroline, is it Cheptom, who said, why in the water? Why in the water? Kama tunaanza na moja tukiendelea in that way. But what I have seen is, when you're pointing a finger at one person and there's four more pointing at you, that's what I saw. Yeah, that's what I saw with quite a number of those particular members of parliament. But also there's this member of parliament who was denied a chance to get rid of his signature. I don't know if you followed the National Assembly speaker saying, hey, once you append it, ndio hivo.
You wanted to reverse his vote?
Tetu member of parliament, I think.
You wanted to reverse his vote?
No, his signature. Remember the first, the one that needed 117 threshold.
Supporting the motion.
Yeah, the motion. So Mimi naona tu it was very, very eventful, dramatic. For me, it was dramatic. Of course, one of its own kind, but I was thinking, eish, mukona speedy sana. Yeah.
There's something that Rigathi Gachagua said. He said, search your conscience and decide if I'm guilty of any of these allegations or if I'm merely undergoing a political process.
Exactly.
If you find there are no grounds, please make the right decision. City.
Those clearly fell on deaf ears.
2 hours.
Even if they were 4 hours, we're still going to fall on deaf ears. The politicians never learn that the things they utter have a tendency of catching up with them. They never learn. However, the door that has been opened by this process is a door that will not be shut. Our constitution, its operationalization, just keeps getting more and more vivid. We understand it better and better and better. No one knew you could impeach a governor. We've seen governors being impeached. The issue of a deputy president going through this process, it was not thought of. Now we see it has been done.
Mm.
Recalling MPs is going to be a walk in the park. Next stop will be the impeachment of a president. So, the Constitution is at work. And the Constitution is impartial. We will judge all these lawmakers and their decision.
Mm-hmm.
And their time will come.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It won't be long. It will come. The decisions they have made over time, the decisions they have not made and they should have made, the continued impoverishment of the citizens of this country and the suffering, that is how they have determined they will make their decisions. And now they made another decision. We will juxtapose, we will compare, and we'll see. They're already on the weighing scale. Let them continue what they're doing. We're going to continue weighing them. And we will see where the weight falls.
What I saw was Mwenge Mutuse. He actually, I think it was brilliant of Mwenge Mutuse to say, me, and be the one to move this, because it has elevated his public profile. Right? Many people who did not know Mwenge Mutuse before this now know Mwenge Mutuse. And they saw how articulate he is. Now we all hope to see that articulation in other bills and all that. But they saw how articulate. So it was a good thing for him. He put his case. He was going issue by issue, showing this is a clip. This is the evidence. I have attached this. I have an affidavit. I have this and the other. He went through it. He did his bits. Now, when members of parliament are now standing to speak, I didn't see many who actually went back into what Mwenge Mutuse had presented. They were talking about, I heard Mariah was so mentioned so many times. I actually wondered, wait, when did the DP actually say this? Because he's alleged to have called one of the members a Malaya. And it was said once, twice, many times. And then the issue of Mrima and shareholder, those were the issues in the House. The things that Mwenge Mutuse even getting you affidavits, you from who signed yeah. Now, the Senate is the trial house.
Yes.
And this is where the Senate is expected to look at the merits and demerits. And when they go to the Senate, it's the National Assembly charging the Deputy President. So, the Senate has decided they're not going to form a committee. It's going to be the whole House that will look at this matter, especially they've already decided that for the Kericho governor. I expect that they're going to do the same for the Deputy President. So if they go the whole House for the Deputy President, are they going to be interrogating the issues that are in the special motion, or are they also going to be looking at everything else bar the issues in the special motion? This is going to be an interesting one to see how it flows. There are people who are then saying, okay, but then Senate, are they only going to be voting the 47 of them or all members of the Senate? It's all. That's what the law says. It's all
not
members.
Just the elected?
No, it's not just the elected. It's all members of the Senate. And it's 2/3 of all the members of the Senate. Number two, what happens if the Senate actually approves the impeachment? The DP stands impeached. Then what happens?
Corridors of justice.
Okay. So, this is what the Constitution says in Article 149, vacancy in the office of the Deputy President. Within 14 days after a vacancy in the office of the Deputy President arises, the President shall nominate a person to fill the vacancy, and the National Assembly shall vote on the nomination within 60 days after receiving it. If a person assumes office as Deputy President under this clause, then for purposes of Article 148, the person shall be deemed A, to have served a full term as DP if at the date on which the person assumed office more than 2.5 years remain before the date of the next regularly scheduled election. If not, to have served a term of office as Deputy President in any other case. Okay?
Yes.
So within 14 days, the President should nominate. Now, the other issues now start coming in. You nominate somebody who qualifies to be Deputy President. Who determines if you're qualified to be Deputy President?
Waika Nyoke had something to say about this, didn't he?
Is it who is qualified, or is it who is loyal to you, or who actually understands your vision, or your friend?
They can all be even very, very good to you.
Okay.
But there is a vetting process. President and Deputy President present their nomination papers
Right.
to the IEBC.
BC.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Then
not
the
what they did?
IEBC finds that this person, yes, they qualify.
So regard they qualified.
Yeah. So the person that the president nominates needs to be confirmed by the IEBC
Yes.
whether they meet the legal standards.
Yes.
Now the other question now starts coming in.
Yes.
That's what constitutional lawyer Waiko Onyoiko
Let me
said.
just read what he had to say. To be sure, only IEBC has sole constitutional mandate to determine whether a person is eligible to be a DP nominee. So if Ruto succeeded on the Rigathi issue before sending his DP nominee to Bunge for approval, he must get clearance from IEBC. And that is how the people start recalling their MPs.
I find us a very interesting country. Wait, am I living in utopia? Do we have an IEBC?
That's the thing.
We don't.
So the question is, we have an IEBC.
Commissioner.
The secretariat is
Okay.
there. The commissioners are not in office.
Yeah.
So is this a matter to be looked at by the IEBC commissioners, or is it to be looked at by the IEBC secretariat? There's been another emergence of another issue, some case law. In a previous court case, a court had determined that the matter of checking qualification is a very, very administrative issue.
Yes.
So the IEBC CEO can do that. You don't have to have full commission there sitting.
Precedence is a serious thing.
Very, very, very.
Yes, precedence is a serious thing. Now, because that precedence, it therefore means that one could argue that nothing's stopping the president from presenting his nominee to the CEO, because the CEO exists.
Of course. Wow. So what are we looking at? You know, someone tweeted, I'm sorry to take you guys back a bit, when I think it's Sudi, he took to his Twitter account, X now, just before, you know, when we were looking at the impeachment as some of those mamas in the corridors, and he said maximum 2 weeks. Now look, it has happened.
Yeah.
If we have the CEO and you suddenly tell us that this is possible within a time frame, you have seen that there are certain names coming up as persons of interest if the president decides to go that direction. And if CT, what you're saying, and of course what Latiff is saying, that we have a CEO and nothing is stopping the president, then things might move a little bit too fast. I'm not being a prophetess of anything, trying to understand as well what's happening in the country, and looks like anything is possible.
But there's something else we haven't mentioned. You mentioned it in passing.
I did.
Yes, you said the corridors of justice.
Yes.
Because it will enter this equation.
Yep.
And I'm certain that the DP's legal team is prepared for it.
Oh, indeed. Indeed.
Just like the Wambora cases,
Yes.
or even the Meru governor case,
Yes.
right?
Mwangaza.
Yep. How does the judiciary play into this?
Yes, exactly.
Even after a decision is made in the Senate, how does the judiciary play into this?
Even
And what do
after
we
a
see?
high court determines a case and states their position and it goes to appeal.
Yes.
Yes. So this drama is not just about to end, but the education of us, the citizen, will be profound. With every move, we are learning things we did not know. We are understanding things we did not know.
We're discovering the power.
Yes. And we're all becoming legal experts.
Expert is a big word.
Somebody was also asking, all right, the drafters of the Constitution, by putting in these time limits and saying within 14 days of a vacancy falling in this office, the president should nominate, Parliament should have 60 days within which to deal with that nomination, and we have a new DP. They were looking at cases in this country where for some time, we stayed without a DP for vice president for a while, right?
Yeah.
So President Moi said, nimeachisha huyu jamaa kazi. And he said, wacha nifikiria. Akafikiria. We?
Akafikiria ria.
That is it.
So I think the framers of the Constitution, so we do not want such a case where maybe the removal of DP from office is engineered by the president, so then the president stays without any deputy, right? And says, we must have this. So What happens then if it goes to court and it stays on? It goes to High Court, it goes to Court of Appeal, it goes to Supreme Court. In all those days, what's happening?
Wait, that's deep.
Yes, it is.
We've had certain cases, and unless I'm not a legal expert yet, but if I look in hindsight, I think there's certain cases facing certain governors or former governors, if they're not serving, that is still in before the judges. 5 years, 2 years, they can stretch that long.
Well, we have a case of a sitting MP who was actually jailed. Yes, and then he appealed.
Okay.
Not only is he no longer jailed, he was elected as a member of parliament and is serving. So, if you think this country is strange, think again. It is very strange.
This one is this one's city for look and see. It goes to the Senate. Let us look and see what happens. Someone here says, I think the president already has a nominee, and she's a woman. Campaigns mechacha hata kwa social media. My friend. Kaende. Let me give you this story. Page
Please.
11
Yes.
of The Nation. Kenyan taxpayers lost at least 6.6 billion shillings in the controversial edible oils importation deal, with several anomalies flagged in the process, a Senate committee heard yesterday. During a meeting of the Senate Trade Committee, which is conducting an inquiry into the controversial 16.5 billion shilling edible oil scandal, it emerged that the Kenya National Trading Corporation sold some uncleared consignment nearing its expiry date to a local firm for reshipping, yet the batch is still in the country. So they sold an uncleared consignment nearing expiry date to a local company for reshipping. Why are they selling it for reshipping and it's nearing? Appearing before the committee chaired by the Kajiado Senator Seki Lenku, KNTC General Manager for Finance Purity Kimandhi said the 6.6 billion shillings was lost due to fluctuation in exchange rates, clearance and warehousing costs. She said that the corporation had sold at least 1.67 million jerrycans of the oil as at September 17th, generating 5.9 billion. She said that 10,651 jerrycans were damaged during transport and stripping, and the corporation is following up insurance claims. And KNTC has 303.1 million in outstanding payables for warehouse rent, storage, and agency fees. She also admitted that part of the consignment was sold at 3,028 shillings per jerrycan instead of 3,700, resulting in a loss of 540 million shillings. She was asked by Senator Lenku, so you're admitting that there is such a loss due to the factors you have mentioned. Who has benefited from this? Marsabit Senator Mohamed Chute had said that more than 6 billion shillings had been lost through overpayment to suppliers, fluctuations in exchange rates, and failure by some of the suppliers to refund the overpaid amounts. He told the committee that the letter of credit was opened at $23 per jerrycan, but KNTC ended up paying $30 per jerrycan, leading to an overpayment of 2.5 billion shillings. Sijui kama mnaelewa hii mathematic.
Is it nothing?
Actually, what I understand, because the same story is in the Star, and they are talking about how it is KNTC overpaid Multi-Commerce an approximate of $10 million. And this is something that people are wondering, so how did you manage? That's 1.2 billion. How do you manage to overpay this sort of amount? This story had a problem from the beginning, even when we first heard it. It has continued to have a problem. And the new officers who come in, somebody left, somebody else came in, they find themselves in a bit of a quagmire here. Some people are explaining things they don't fully understand. But that the money was lost, fluctuation is a good reason to give. But there was a problem even before the story of fluctuations came in.
And the exchange rates?
The story behind all this importation was that the cost of living would be addressed.
Yeah.
People would be able to buy
Cheaper cooking oil.
That was the understanding. So how all this thing comes about, man?
In the end, was there cheaper cooking oil in the market?
I don't
Expired.
Right? Did you actually see cheaper cooking oil coming to the market through this deal? And when you say, some guys are being paid to reship because this thing is about to expire, I mean, how did it even come here?
Did you not know it was about to expire?
And we've paid warehousing and demurrage and all those.
And there's even story here that there's certain taxes like VAT that they were unable to pay.
Exactly.
There are very many stories here. And remember, it wasn't just cooking oil. There was rice.
Sugar.
There was flour.
Yep.
This thing, if there's a story that proves that from the very, very beginning, the story of these importations were not intended to benefit the Mwananchi, it's this one. Why are there so many explanations for something which, when we were told, was very simple and straightforward?
I'm actually.
Why is it suddenly getting convoluted?
And really, guys, even after so admitting, because there's always admissions, they acknowledge, they'll always come up and say, we've done our investigations, this is where we lost it. But at the end of the day, it's lost. Does anyone ever think, so what? After you lose it, another admission, any recoveries, any plans, put it in this report. We need to follow up because you can't tell us, yes, there was a scandal, we admit it. Okay.
You know,
so we clap our hands.
Kent is not a private business entity. No. It's a government. It's a government parastatal.
Right.
So the money they were using is our money.
Yep.
Please understand.
Account it.
So when you hear these losses, it is your money which you're being told is lost.
Exactly.
And that money was intended for something which now it cannot do. Anytime you hear of an overpayment, it is your money that is being used to overpay. It's something you must always understand. So money that could have been used for other purposes, the purpose for which this was intended did not happen. The cost of living was actually not addressed.
2.5 billion. Kasirika.
It is 6. You know, we have become so desensitized with these figures,
Yes.
that we just look at it as 6. You don't remember it's 6.6 billion shillings. 0.6 billion is 600 million.
That is a heck of a lot of
Just
money.
the 0.6.
Mingi
It
pesa.
is 600 million. 6 billion shillings. If you think about how much has been allocated now to primary healthcare and the emergency critical and chronic care fund, 5 billion shillings, and it is insufficient. If you added this 6 billion shillings, you'd have 11 billion shillings. We would be saying that go to your local health facility, go back home, it's been paid.
Do not even chuck a cent.
Yes.
And that would be nationwide. And you just, and you-
This is
and-
what it means, Bana. It's 6 billion. It's not just like a small figure.
No. Counties, there are counties that receive 4 billion
Yes.
as what it is their
Shareable
share.
revenue.
Yes, 4. Others, 6. Whole county. Now you're being told 6.6 billion as though it's just a figure. It's actually not a figure. It's real amounts of money.
This is a lot of money.
To
And we
imagine,
can't just say,
yes.
by the way, we lost it because of exchange rate fluctuation.
Excuse us.
We lost it, because of we had to pay now some warehousing. We lost it because we had to pay this person so that they can ship it back. We lost it because now we are pursuing insurance so the other insurance
It's
can pay
one
us.
story after another,
We lost it
after
because
another. And these are not the same stories we were told at the beginning.
No.
When there was another CEO who went before this same Senate and had to explain things.
And you look at this and you're thinking, okay, quite interesting, because as we're speaking, the shenanigans that happen in this country, the number of times we're told, hey, we're broke, bear with us, cut your clothes according to your size. Oh, do understand it is a short time, paying for a long time gain. And you're thinking 6.6 billion shillings and the feeding program is, having its own shenanigans. Issues and issues. Kenyans can be agitated for real. I don't blame when they're angry.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.